So now that's two European titles for Joe Cullen, both over Michael van Gerwen, as Michael van Gerwen took a fifth consecutive Euro Tour final defeat. Not five consecutive events, but five consecutive times he's made the final, he's lost. And it's fair to say it was an up and down weekend for the world number one. And it's now 7 stage events since lockdown without a title. What do you make of his current play?
Yeah, it really is a strange one. The 5 consecutive defeats in European Tour finals, and before that, he'd gone 17, won 7, winning finals in the European Tour. He lost 6-0 to Peter Wright, I think, early 2017, and after that went on an absolute rampage. When he got to the finals of these events, he was cleaning up, and you just got to look at his record in that tour. He's won by far and away more than any other player. But recent times, the last 5-6 months since this lockdown's come in, and we've just seen the tour come back the last few months, though, there have been a lot of questions about Michael van Gerwen. And you look at this past weekend in Riesa as a small sample of games that he's played, and there's signs of him coming back into some good form, but there's also been some signs where you just can't see him getting back to that form. And at the minute, him averaging over 100 is starting to become more of a rare occurrence. And we think back 3 or 4 years ago when he was at his most dominant, he was rattling off 100 plus averages for fun. He was going 15, 20 games, 100 plus average every single time. And I think he only had 14 games on the European Tour this year, and I think he's had, 6 of those games I think were 95 plus average, so not even getting to the 100 plus, only one I think he had. So it is a really interesting case at the minute for Michael van Gerwen, and all parts of his games are not quite clicking. There's some games where his scoring will be there and his doubles might not, and there'll be other times when you look at the game against James Wade when he got that 102 average and he put in 143, 144 checkouts, 6 out of 9 on the doubles, comes back an hour or so later for his semi-final against Mensah-Suljovic, misses 25 darts at double, and then finishes it up in a last leg 140 checkout. It's really difficult to kind of assess and put into words really what is going on with the world number one at the moment. And when we talked about it recently, I thought it was to do with the crowds. When the behind closed doors events, he's not won those. Okay, there was a little bit of a crowd for these European Tour events. I think they had 250 in the end of the weekend, but I still think that is one of the big factors, is that he's missing that buzz that you get off a big crowd, because at the moment we're not allowed the big crowds, and players, they're making the most of it when he's putting in these performances. He's there for the taking, and Mensah-Suljovic should have beaten him in that semi-final, but Joe Cullen, he took advantage of it, and he was the one that came out on top.
Yeah, you say if he averages over 100, it's a good sign, but this past weekend averaging over 90 was the exception. In 5 matches, he only did it twice, and one of those was the final where he barely got over the 90. If he had somehow been able to come back and win that match, you would think he would have been under 90 because he would have had more darts at double. And that's been a big part of it, is his struggling to hit doubles. You mentioned the 20-something missed darts at double against Mensah-Suljovic, who missed a few of his own to win that match 7-5, 7-6 earlier on. But he also missed a bunch against Andy Hamilton. Missed 7 match darts before finally closing it out after the hammer narrowly missed the bull in the final leg. So he's been missing darts in key times, but he's also just not been scoring that well. He's been having way too many visits early and middle of legs where he's been putting in 58, 60, occasionally hitting a 93 last dart in hand to get that treble, to get it, save the visit. That's not the Michael van Gerwen we expect. We expect him saving a visit by getting a 1-3-4, switching down and hitting 2 treble 19s. That's the standard he used to be at, where you would say a 1-3-4 is what it's saving a visit for Van Gerwen. Now we're saying a last start treble 18 is saving the visit. And that's the decline in his just overall consistency. I still don't know what it is. I think some of it is motivation, because we have seen in key moments him being able to get up, especially in the World Championships. Okay, he didn't win it last year, but he still played pretty well, and he just ran it. I don't think anyone was going to beat Peter Wright on New Year's Day this year. Previously on the World Championships, he was playing very well. We've seen it obviously the previous year where he romped to a 3rd world title. We've seen it at times as well, winning back-to-back World Grand Prix, but we haven't seen it at all this year. And I just have to think it's some motivation thing at this point, because his head isn't where it needs to be. And maybe getting a big crowd back will help, but that's not going to happen anytime soon. And if that's what he's relying on, then his time as world number one is about to come to an end. Maybe not forever, but at least that consecutive streak world number one is going to come to an end, because he's not going to win the world title playing anything like this. He's not going to come close to winning the world title playing like this. He was lucky to make the final this weekend, and that is, credit to him. He hit when he needed to win those matches, so you can't take that away from him. But he ain't going to win the world championship playing like this. And if he doesn't win the world championship, he's probably not world number one on January 2nd.